Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche post-game show presented by Bet365. We got AJ, we got E, we got Rudo. We're coming to you live as the Avs defeat the Anaheim Ducks 4-2 to make it 4 points of 4 from the Sega Baba in California. I would not call this one necessarily the orthodox way to win the second game of a back-to-back, but the Avs do ultimately get the job done. Overall impressions from tonight. Last night, I was very much on board of a win is a win, and I think I feel the same about this one.
Go ahead, big fella.
Yeah, I think a win. I mean, anytime you're on a Sega Baba, man, it's just whatever you got to do to get the 2 points is fine. I don't care how ugly it is. You're going to need some good performances somewhere. You got excellent performance in goal. You got an excellent performance from your penalty kill. I mean, that's a good recipe to win games right there. You prevent goals. Sure gives you a chance.
Yeah, goaltending continues to be maybe the biggest story of the season for the Avalanche, but as of late, it's been a good story. So we'll definitely get into that a little bit more. For this one, if you're going period by period, first period, I would not say that the Avs played great, but they get out of it 0-0, the classic good road period. Second period was a little all over the place. It started off extremely slow for Colorado, but ultimately they were able to solve their problems as the period went on there. They have a 2-1 lead going into the third. They get a very big power play goal to make it 3-1 early in the third period, and ultimately it might have gotten a little bit closer than you would have liked, but they hang on to win 4-2 with an empty netter. Is there anything specific that jumps out at you guys from tonight's game, or should we just take it chronologically here?
Well, I'll jump in. Take it chronologically. I mean, no problem after that. There's two things that we tend to stay away a little bit on our keys of the game, right? And because they're so important until you don't get them. And the two things are special teams and goaltending. You know what I mean? Because we try to stay away and talk about something else, but ultimately those two things are the most important things in a hockey game. And tonight you won on special teams, obviously, because of that power play goal and because of that shorthanded goal. And then your goaltending was terrific again. Somewhere, somehow, you get those two things and the nucleus of guys that you have, you're going to win a lot of games. And we'll dissect it. We'll get into it a little more. But if you look at that absolute nonsense of a past 30-something days, this is crazy. This is ridiculous. It's finally done. I'll say it again. This is a schedule that would sink, I would say, 3/4 of this National Hockey League. And it certainly didn't sink the Avs. So that, to me, is fantastic.
I mean, you say it's finally done, but technically the Avs still have their stupidest game on the schedule left with the same day travel to Utah after the Christmas break. Then after that, it's done. But
you know what I mean? Done with those trips. Like, it's, I mean, what is it? I took a snap picture. I mean, we all know, we all feel it. It was Altitude talked about it.
it was like 36 and 36 days on the road, 8 at home or something stupid.
I got it right here. Last 34 days, there were 26 days on the road, 8 at home. And then the next 38 days, there are 6 days on the road, 33 days at home. A complete opposite. You know what I mean? And again, it's nonsense. A schedule like that is not right. I think you look at it, it's daunting. You know what I mean? And it would kill a lot of teams. I'm telling you, and I believe it, and I've seen it. it would have sank a lot of team in the National Hockey League. Something like this.
There's a reason we've been talking about how difficult the Avs schedule is, and it's gonna get easier, certainly at least in the travel regard. So we'll see exactly how those things play out. We're focusing on tonight's game. I understand the situation. It's a Sega Baba. It's a tired team. It's the ridiculous schedule they've been on. Do we want to care about that first period, or are we just going to say, "Hey, Scott Wedgewood was awesome. Let's move on"?
Yeah, I think that my overriding opinion about tonight, man, is I don't care about any of the individual periods. I don't care about any of the real stretches of the game. It's as we're talking, look, the cumulative effect of playing 13 of 17 on the road. Tonight it's the end of that 13 and 17 stretch, and they win 11 of those games. I mean,
that's
and
good.
to walk
That's
out of
pretty
that,
good.
every single individual road trip that they had 3 separate road trips that they went on. Yeah, they went 3-1 on the first one. They went 4-1 on the second one. They went 2-1 on this one. Their only losing road trip is the one game in Dallas that they went to in between home games. So this is just you just had to get that job done, whatever the 2 points looked like. It's not going to be good on the underlyings are bad for everybody. The underlyings are bad for the team. They're bad for the individual players. But in this case, this is one where, hey, you got the 2 points, and it's not going to look good on the should have won a meter or whatever it's called. But who cares, man? This was they were up against it, and the Ducks are bad. Strangely enough, the Ducks were in this exact same situation for 2 straight games. 2 days ago, they had the Jets in the same situation, win that game, and then the Avs take care of business in regulation tonight. It's not easy to do. It's just not. And these guys found their way. And I was worried about it. Cale Makar played 31 minutes in San Jose last night, and comes out and is arguably Colorado's best player tonight.
I didn't have him as our best, but he might show up in the 3 stars. We'll put it to you that way. We'll get to that in a little bit. Look, I think there are some issues in this game. Predominantly, you can't take 5 penalties.
Oh, man.
That was, you're asking for trouble in a Sega Baba if you do something like that. Now, granted, boy, was the refereeing an adventure tonight, but you have to find a way to keep yourself out of the box a little bit.
Have you ever seen a case where they have a high stick like that, where it is a high stick that they call a penalty, and they talk about it, and somehow they're like, "No, we're good. Just kidding." Usually it's the reverse, where they're like, "Oh, he totally clipped it." I can't recall ever seeing that one before.
Yeah, it felt like they. You got to remember, the Avs are a little tired, like we talked about. That's how you take penalties, but for the referees, they're on the road every game, so. So maybe they were tired. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but the brain wasn't functioning there, and I think it is so hard to watch. And I'm laughing because it's the wrong call, right? But to defend themselves and our buddy Jack's, like, sometimes you're replaying something in your head that just didn't happen. You know what I mean? And I think you're just convincing yourself that, yeah, this was not done, or you know what I mean, or I didn't do this. You know what I mean? Like, so for them, it's no, he didn't do that. No, that was that was not a high stick. It was a puck or whatever it is. And I'm not defending them, but I think sometimes you just, and then there's 4 of you, and you look at each other, and you're like, yeah, right. And then the other guy's like, yeah, sure, yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that was no high stick. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, I mean, it was the wrong one. They just. Whatever. I mean, that was a tough night for them, I think, overall, and I agree with that. And I agree with the penalties though for the Avalanche. It wasn't a recipe to take penalties. We talked about it pregame. Like, don't give them freebies. If you're taking too many men penalties, those are freebies. You know what I mean? So that's not that's not on the referee. And then all of a sudden you add those things that they're missing, and But hey, when you're on top of stuff, which the Avalanche are on top of it, and when you're winning games, you're not winning them perfectly, but you're doing them because of goaltending, because of okay, there was no call, and then you end up taking a penalty, and wow, let's just go score a shorty. You know what I mean? So there was an answer for all those things, and that's why I like that character wins, so to speak. You know what I mean? Where it wasn't perfect. Yeah, and I guess man, they are out of steam, but they found a way at the right time to come up with the big play. You know what I mean? And it wasn't from a lack of weirdness. You know what I mean? But they certainly got it done.
Yeah, certainly the place they got it done maybe better than anywhere else was the penalty kill. Even if the penalties weren't great, your penalty kill bailed you out in this one, and not just killing them all, but even scoring you a shorthanded goal. AJ, we've talked a lot about the goaltending. We've talked about the resurgence of the PK as of late. I'm sure goaltending has a lot to do with that, but have you seen anything else going on there that you think has really, I don't want to say fixed it, but has pushed it in the right direction?
Yeah, I think the number one thing on the PK that has started to change is that the lane discipline has gotten so much better. They're not allowing the cross crease passes. They're shoulder checking a lot better, understanding where everybody is on the ice, and they're growing more cohesive as a unit. And I think it's paying huge dividends. Keaton Middleton cannot continue on that unit. He cannot continue in the NHL. I'm just saying. The Avs got very lucky on multiple occasions where Middleton was the guy who was breaking down on a play, and a puck does not get through. So they bail it out, but holy lordy, please stop. Um, but with their PK, I think the number one thing that has changed is that they're not giving up that backdoor play. They're not allowing it right on the doorstep anymore. It, it's easy to connect the dots as to when that started and say,
Yeah.
oh, they trust their goaltender a little bit more, so they're not selling out completely to try to block every single shot because it doesn't matter where it's coming from. They think it's gonna go in. Like it's easy to draw the conclusion if that's the story you're trying to write, but it's I will just stick strictly to they have played significantly better on their PK. You look 9 minutes and 34 seconds tonight, killing penalties in 5v4 situations. They allow 2 high danger chances and 6 scoring chances. Those are phenomenal numbers
Ridiculously
on
good
a
for a
PK.
PK. Yeah.
Those are phenomenal numbers on a PK. And obviously, Scott Wedgewood's been great. When you
Yeah, of
actually get the
course. Of
saves
course.
themselves, you actually get the saves out of a goaltender. And you look at the 2 goals that beat him tonight. One of them is just a perfect tip from Leo Carlson, and then an
Yep.
all-time silly hockey bounce off a guy's
Ridiculous
knee.
pinball. Yeah.
Like Scott Wedgwood does not get beat cleanly tonight.
Yep.
He was excellent in this game.
Yeah. I do want to talk about Scott Wedgwood more too, but before we get into that, we are, of course, got to pay some bills. This one is
Ugh.
presented by our folks that make floors. Do you guys make floors? I'm assuming not. Okay, good answers. Empire Today makes floors.
No, man. No, I don't make floors. I talk about hockey for a living. You know this.
Yeah, but you know about the foundations of a penalty kill. And that comes with starting with a high floor. All right. Empire Today is where it's at. Go get your flooring
Damn.
with them. They have only the best products, and they'll give you
Damn.
$350 off when you go to empiretoday.com/DNVR on your new floors, whatever it is, carpet, hardwood, tile, linoleum. I guess if you want linoleum like a crazy person, that's fine. I don't judge. Go get with Empire Today, though. They have professional installers, and of course, you can even stay at home and go online and project the floor you want into a room that you measured out. So super cool stuff. If you haven't checked them out yet, and you get a free quote when you call Empire Today at 1-800-588-2300, or again, go to empiretoday.com/DNVR. Once you've got your flooring situation all sorted out, make sure you're also getting into the official craft brew of DNVR with Breckenridge Brewery. They have a beer for everyone, really, dozens of flavors. It's ridiculous. But if you go down to the DNVR bar during an Avs game, you can get $2 off a Breck brew during the game. So that's a great way to try a Breck brew right there. But you can also find them at your local liquor store. Use the Breck Beer Locator online at breckbrew.com today. Again, Breck Brew is the official craft beer of DNVR. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. You guys have kind of already leaked into my 3 stars a little bit, so let's just bring it right up and go in to the Avs 3 stars for the night. Star number 3, I went with Parker Kelly. I was going to have him higher on this list, but tough penalty to take at the end of a 3-2 game. Was not my favorite penalty. I know it's pretty soft, but nonetheless, given the way this game was refereed, you had to be aware and do a better job of not taking that penalty. Now, the Avs killed it, so he still makes the 3 stars. He still gets to be on here for a great shorthanded goal, and a big part of that PK being successful for the most of the night. I also appreciate that he made Eric Lacroix and myself look good with our crystal ball, as I called him to score and Eric called a shorty, so appreciate you. For you guys, I guess let me get your overall thoughts on Parker Kelly for the Avs, because I know there's been some, is he really a center for this team? How does he really fit? How do you think he is slotted in at this point in the year for Colorado?
Why does his face have creases in it?
Because of our little thing that we do. Like, you know how all of our graphics have that because they like look like a newspaper. Yeah.
It definitely is some kind of texture. All right, I'll let it go. Look, Parker Kelly was great. The goal that he scores, John Gibson is cheating so bad.
Yeah.
You watch his whole body twitches to his left because that's where he thinks it's going, and Kelly catches him on the short side, and Gibson, and like that's one of the reasons you look at John Gibson and you're like, this is why there was hesitance from a lot of us when we were talking about the Avs needing a goaltender.
Yep. I mean, he just got outdueled by the Avs backup, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but Parker Kelly, to get back to him, like, you know what I mean? I really like him. And I think of it like the trust factor from the coaching staff, you know, like Bednar, for example, with Kivi Ranta. You know, knows what to expect, knows what he's going to give you. There's a comfort there for a coach, and you know, I'm sure Bednar wasn't too familiar with his game, right? Parker Kelly kind of been an unknown in the East there, like not a guy that you know will have watch highlights of. But he's a good kid. He just gives you everything he has. He won't quit on anything, even when he lost that stick tonight and he dives at, you know, Troy Terry. It could end up being disastrous because, you know, it ended up being a bad play by Troy there, but you know, he just doesn't quit, and you know, he's limited. But tonight, it's certainly for me the player, the play of the game. You know what I mean? That shorty is the play of the game, gets the Avalanche back in the game, being down 1. So, you know what? Coming from a guy that doesn't score a lot of goals, and the Avalanche, we just talked about it, their PK's been really good the last few weeks or a few games or whatever it is, and he's certainly a big part of it. So, yeah, that's a great pick. It was a great call by Rudo before the game to say he's going to snipe one. And like I said, I've had some interactions with him. A very nice young man, very smart. You know, nice hockey. Hockey geek, you know what I mean, like us, and really loves to talk hockey and really loves, you know, anything that is about the National Hockey League. So it's fun to interact with him. Very nice addition. I like the fact. I wasn't this summer. I was like, yeah, whatever. You know, it's kind of an afterthought. You know, but it's certainly proving to be a good addition. That's, you know, for me that's good pro scouting there by the fellas in the front office.
Is that the most polite way a person has ever called another person a nerd?
A hockey nerd, yeah, a hockey nerd, like us. Yeah, I mean, we're hockey nerds, right?
I'm definitely a hockey nerd.
Yeah. No, he's one of us. Like I enjoy some interactions with him. I'm very, very impressed by him.
I,
And total heart and soul guy,
yeah.
like I tweeted the other
Hmm.
day just joking around, how is his entire body not just one big bruise? He is always selling out to do anything possible to
Hmm.
help the team win. He's completely committed to that cause of winning, and that's exactly what you want from what you want from a role player. You want a guy that is going to he's going to go all out
Yep.
for you, and not just drift through a game and you get to the end of the game and you go, oh yeah, that guy was out there for 9 minutes. Did you really notice him? No, you notice Parker Kelly every night. You notice Parker Kelly. He is all about those little winning plays that get you across the finish line. He's not normally going to be a guy that you look at on breakaways and such, but he did a great job. The Avs took advantage of an opportunity that the Ducks handed them. Nice job by LOC, but Kelly finished, and I can live with the 2 penalties, especially because that second penalty isn't really a penalty; it's a joke.
I hear
One
you.
of us. One of us. One
Yeah,
of us.
The only thing I just want to add about that, and if you're gonna rewatch the game, and I know you guys do, and a lot of people rewatch games, it's fun, and it's like rewatching a movie, right? Because you know which part is good, which part is bad. Um, Pay attention when he goes on the score, the whatever you want to call that, the after goal line. When he goes into the bench to give high fives to everybody. Pay attention. You'll see Nate McKinnon. You know what I mean? It's rare you see McKinnon on the bench with a big smile and standing up and giving him the high five. You'll see press pause. McKinnon is actually stoked. You know what I mean? And that's what a goal like that tonight coming from a guy that doesn't score a lot but does a lot out there. It just kind of makes you appreciate it. And again, that was a big play in the game tonight.
And just to back up your point about he gets noticed, yes, the shorthanded goal is awesome, but the Avs' best possession line tonight is their third line. They're one of very few that are on the right side of possession. Now, I know there wasn't a ton of 5-on-5 tonight. Yeah, whatever. But beyond that, AJ, you were sending us stats before the game about how that line has been one of the most effective shutdown lines in the NHL.
yeah, there might have been a reason that I was looking into those things. But you do look at it just because we're on the topic real quick. But the Avs, I was sorting through shot suppression from the Avalanche. Well, league wide among forwards with 100 minutes played at 5v5
Yep.
so far this year. The Avs have 4 of the top 25 guys in Yoel Kiviranta, Logan O'Connor, Parker Kelly, and Ivan of all
Mm-hmm.
players. That was a
Yep.
strange one.
So, Avs forward depth maybe cooking a little bit more than people think, even if production isn't always there, but it certainly was there on the penalty kill. Our number 2 star.
What's
We're
up, Pix?
going. What?
Sorry, the cat is in here saying what's up to
Oh,
me.
hi, Cat. Cale Makar, number 2 star, scores what ends up being the game-winning goal on a crucial power play for the Avs. Also picks up an assist on their only 5-on-5 goal of the night. He's dope. He's really good at hockey, and it's fun to watch when things are working for him. He's so critically important to the Avalanche. And as AJ said earlier in the podcast, he played 31 minutes the other night. I think he ended up with just shy of 24 tonight. So that's 54 minutes of hockey in a 27-hour period. That's a lot of hockey from that guy.
Yeah.
He's the best player on the planet. He's the best player on the planet. I've always said it, and I'll say it again. For me, he's the most important player on the planet. I should phrase it that way. And here's what I liked about his game tonight. Like you said, to be flying after a crazy month, after a Segababa, after there's a lot of taxi. He logs a lot of taxi rides. I mean, this guy is just he must take care of himself real good. You know what I mean? To be able to perform like that is pretty phenomenal. But the one part that I really liked about his game tonight on the power play is I want to say it was in the second period there. In about 20 seconds, that one time on the power play, he took
Bombs
3
away.
clap
Yeah.
bombs. You know what? I like selfish Kale. I do. And you guys know what I think about the power play. Shoot the puck. shoot the puck. You want production on the power play, shoot the puck. It might not pay off that power play. It will pay off the next one. It will spread out the box. It will respect the shot, and then therefore you can make that seam pass after. You know what I mean? And then you connect it. But when Kale shoots the puck, I like that because he's such a nice young man. He's the conductor up top there, and he's so like, conflicted at times because he's got Mikko that's like, all ready to unload on the right side, and he's looking at it. And then he's got McKinnon, the angry dog, on the left side, all ready. And then it's like, you got to be selective at times. I mean, I don't care what people say. You got to play the political game, so to speak, and give it to both sides. And then sometimes you're the best option. Let's just take the game, the last game, when he shoots wide and Val puts it in on the first shot of the game. Shocker, that goes in on Georgiev. It's just sorry, I should have said that. That's not fair. But when he shoots the puck, he is good. He is fun, and I like when he's selfish like that. And I think it's really, again, it's a great pick for second star. He was, he's an all-world player, so great one.
There was a stat on the altitude broadcast during the game where Cale Makar had 0 shots in the first period of this game, and he ended the second period with 6. The Avs had not played a great first period, and the start of the second period was poor. And that's what superstar players do. They go, okay, if nobody else is going to do it, I will.
They take over.
Yep.
They do.
That's exactly right.
Makar finishes with 8 shot attempts, 7 shots on goal, 6 scoring chances, and 2 high danger chances. So when I said he was their best player on the night, I clearly meant best skater.
So
best skater.
Yeah. Funnily enough, those stats are exactly the same statistics, at least the high dangers and scoring chances, as all of Anaheim had on their power plays. The Cale Makar generated that by himself tonight. Just saying.
That 30-second was unreal. And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, man, is he unloading again? Yeah. Oh, my God, he's unloading again. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, I like it.
And then number 1 star, the guy who keeps the Avs in this game, allows it to never get away from a 1-goal game for them, and then ultimately helps them lock it down in the end. It's Scott Wedgewood, the Wedgie Wall himself. Look, did Wedgewood play the best game of all time and was absolutely unbelievable tonight? No, but as we already said, the 2 goals against him, there's nothing he can really do about. And those 2 goals going in are a perfect example of why you need a goaltender that makes the saves he's supposed to. Because hockey is a really stupid sport where stupid things happen all the time, and goals like that go in against you. So if you're not making the saves you're supposed to make, and then those things are happening to you, it's really hard to win hockey games. Wedgie made the ones he was supposed to, and honestly probably made a couple he was maybe not supposed to tonight too.
Yeah, when you talk about stopping the ones that you're supposed to, 12 medium danger shots on goal and 8 low danger shots on goal, none of them went in the net.
Yep.
So, 10. It ended up with 10 high danger shots on goal, 2 beat him. And as we talked about, they're both honestly deflections. One of them intentional and one of them unintentional.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's all that gets through him. You started this whole thing by kind of downplaying it, saying, "Oh, was he amazing? Was he?" Yeah, I thought he was. I thought he was excellent tonight. I thought he was the best player on the ice for both teams, and he made a couple of just got him. That's goaltending, baby.
Yep.
And I just think, that's. I don't want to waste a lot of energy trashing the guys that aren't here anymore, but that's just what they weren't getting.
Agreed.
And that's why it feels refreshing. It feels like the fountain of youth watching actual goaltenders stop pucks again, and not these guys who are just constantly giving up muffins.
I'm reading my buddy the Walrus there, and he's right. It's amazing what it does. I'm not trying to say I'm an expert on goaltending. I'm not trying to say that. I always tell you guys, such a complex position. I can only speak when I speak about goaltending, my feelings from being a player, from being on the bench, and that's it. And I can tell you that as the Walrus knows, I needed diapers, a lot of times because I was so scared. I couldn't trust it. I couldn't trust the farts, like Walrus says all the time. And that was my feeling with Georgie. I just was not confident, and I'd rather hold it in instead of just let it out. You know what I mean? And it was, I couldn't trust it. And now what you saw tonight, it's exactly what it's a feeling. Forget about the numbers. The numbers are ridiculously different. I mean, it's crazy, right? Yeah. But by sitting there, you're actually confident and you're not worried. And then there's a breakdown, and you're like, you see the guy back there that's in control and knowing what's going to happen and knowing that that's his job to save the breakdown that's happening in front of him, because it does happen, and it happens every night. It happens for every team. So, and it's just kind of fun to see a guy that wants to challenge and wants to be under control. And I'm speaking for both goalies that are there now, both Woods, right? So I think that's a difference you see. And then as a player, what it does is it gives you wings, it gives you confidence. I don't remember who talked about it. One of you two a few minutes ago talked about the PK, and you're actually all of a sudden like not selling out because you have some confidence. And that's exactly what it is. As a player, I think most guys pretend not to know goaltending, and I think we all stay away from it because we all know that it's such a different position. And there's only two of them in a team, and they are in their own world. A lot of people always say goalies are weird, and I mean, I'm sure they were back. I don't know. I think that's a thing of the past. I think that goalies are more lonely. You know what I mean? And what you're seeing right now is two guys that are actually not lonely. They actually understand each other. They like each other. They can help each other. And I think that their feelings towards other players, they're involved in the team. They're involved with what's going on. Where I think the two guys, I think you heard Bednar talk about it before, was they were more quiet. You know what I mean? And that's a nice, polite way to say they weren't very involved in what was going on in the dressing room, what's going on on the ice, what's going on. And that doesn't make them bad people. It's just that now you have two guys that are invested, that two guys that want to be there, and two guys that want to make a difference. Well, he did tonight.
They definitely did tonight. That's our 3 stars. AJ, I know you got to get to writing if you want to get out of here, but any final thoughts before you...
The defense, Eric's defense of the goaltenders, spoken like a goalie dad. So, doesn't want to say goalies are weird because he doesn't want to say anything like that about Max.
True.
I see you. I see you.
It is weird.
All right. Love you guys. I'll see you guys around.
Take it easy. We're going to pay some bills while AJ jumps off the show. So we are presented by Bet365 tonight. Make sure you get over with Bet365 to make your bets and use the DNVR 365 code when you do to get $150 in bonus bets when you sign up. You have to bet $5 too. It's not that hard. Tonight, if you bet money on Parker Kelly, you'd probably win a lot of money. You bet on that one, but you also got a good game from the Colorado Avalanche. It feels like you might be able to start betting on this team again with a little bit of confidence. If not, though, you can always go bet on any other sport, whether it's the college football playoffs tonight, or it's the Nuggets, or it's the Broncos to make the playoffs, whatever it might be, you can go get your bets in with Bet365. So do it today with the DNVR 365 code, and when you do sign up, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado, and if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Once you're all set with Bet365, make sure you actually, taking some of those winnings and going to hockey games. Jump in with Game Time. Go get with Game Time today and use code DNVR. You'll get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. When you do that, you can get the cheapest tickets out there. Game Time guarantees it. If you find tickets cheaper somewhere else, they'll actually reimburse your account. They'll filter out all the junk, only show you the best tickets for the best prices so you can sit where you want to sit. And that doesn't include just sports. It's also concerts, theaters, movies, you name it. Pretty much anything that sells tickets, Game Time can get you there. So get with Game Time today. Join over 15 million people that use it to get your tickets. What time is it? It's game time, baby. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Eric, the Avs only scored one goal at 5-on-5 in this game. It comes from Cale Makar. Ultimately, Valanciunas tapped it in as it squeaks through Gibson on the backside. Is that okay? Are you good with that, given how good their special teams work was on the night? Are you happy with one 5-on-5 goal?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy with the win. So I think there's a reason why they won. We just talked about Wedgie. We just talked about their PK. We always talk about cashing in on the power play. It helps you, get to the bottom line, which is to win games, and it makes a difference. And tonight you're also getting a short-handed goal. You know what I mean? So for me, a shorty counts for 2-3 even strength goals. You know what I mean? In my book, it's such an uplifter. It's such a big one, and it's such a downer for the other team. And so I'm okay with it. I got no problem. And I like when that 5-on-5 goal came, which is they were down 1-0. They get that shorty, make it 1-1, and not too far after, it's off the rush. The Avs are a dangerous team. People respect the Avs' talent. They respect the Avs' speed. And it was McKinnon right on the left side. Yeah, that's flying. And of course, Cale, that's jumping on. That's typical vintage Avalanche, jumping up on the play. And the best player at his position in the world jumps in and throws a puck on net, not on the glass, not wide. My pet peeve. And, a shot that's tough to handle, and Gibson doesn't handle it well. And then what does Val do? Instead of, going to the net and going right or not stopping at the net, he stops and then just kind of, has the easiest goal he's ever going to have. But he did the right things, right? Yep. He stopped at the net. He didn't quit. He waited. He's a big body. Next thing you know, whoop, that thing pops down and you just put it in. Worst feeling for a goaltender because you're you're like, oh God, the optics are not good on that one on me. You know what I mean? But it's a big 5-on-5 goal, to answer your question about the 5-on-5. And that's the one that shifts the boat, that shifts, the rain in the game, where it was a 1-0 game for the Ducks. They get that shorty, and right after they get that 2-1. Now all of a sudden the Avs are playing from ahead. The Ducks have to chase the game. We all know what that means when the Avalanche are ahead and the other teams are chasing the game. It usually results in a win, for the Avalanche. And that recipe's proven right now over and over and over again, especially in all those wins on the road. Have all been the same. It's all been the same recipe. Yeah.
We talked about Cale Makar being great, but I do think we have to give Nathan McKinnon a little bit of credit too. Now, his underlying numbers at 5-on-5 don't look great tonight, and I don't think this was anywhere near Nathan McKinnon's best game, but he still had a 3-point night. He assists on critical goals, and yeah, his goal comes into the empty net and whatever, but still, it's incredible how night in and night out, you can feel like Nathan McKinnon didn't play his best, and he's still better than most of the other guys on the ice.
I'm a firm believer, and again, you got to remember, I'm a bit older than you, and I'm a bit older than some of the people in the chat, and hockey's evolved over the years, right? And sometimes Rudo thinks I am like, whatever, I don't know what the word is, but old school, but back then, like if you were protecting a lead, you threw your muckers, and and again, I'm going to say something, and this is very nice towards Parker. I like Parker. I said you would throw the Parker Kellys and the Logans, and that's what you did. And I remember
you could also tackle guys too. So.
Yeah, that was such a different game. No, but even back then, my point is, we were such a high-skilled team, the Avalanche back then we were one of the few teams that started doing that, where all of a sudden it was like the Forsbergs, it was the Sakic's, and it was like, Pittsburgh was doing it with Mario and Yager. And all of a sudden, like, people took notice, and it was funny because and I remember my old man saying it all the time, and sometimes having arguments with coaches, that's even when I was done playing, obviously working on the coaching staff my first year out and being part of those meetings. And, I think you think as a player how this thing works, and you really don't until you start living it. And I remember those arguments about, hey, I know that at the end of the day, when the puck drops and there's a face-off, I want Sakic or I want Forsberg, because I know that they're going to have the ability to take a puck, make a play, and make sure that the puck's in the net down there and the game's over.
Yep.
Where, my brother-in-law, I love him, the Stefan Yells of the world, myself, guys like that, we might not have the ability to put the puck on our stick, make a move, get out, escape, especially like you said back then with the tackling. I do believe Nate McKinnon, yeah, is he the smartest guy or the best defensive guy that the Avalanche have? He's not. But on a crucial situation like this, it's like Mikko. Is he deadly from back there when he shoots the puck? He's not missing. It's going in. You know what I mean? From 200 feet out, he's probably the best in the NHL. Him and Draisaitl are the best. And empty netters, empty. Yeah, I mean those are crucial plays in a game. So then all of a sudden the game is 4-2, not 3-2, and you're actually breathing right. And so I think it's important. I know we make fun of the empty netters, but they're crucial parts of a game too.
You're not hanging on to a 1-goal lead if you have a 2-goal lead.
That's right.
It's how it works, which I think is an important factor to bring up. Once again, when the Avs are leading after the second period, they remain undefeated this season. It's uncanny how good the Avs are with the lead. And I know sometimes it gets squirrely and you take a bunch of penalties, or sometimes you allow that next goal and things get closer than you want to be. But it feels like the Avs have a little bit of that killer instinct. If they put themselves in a position to win, they do. And that's one of the most important things you can have as a team that is looking to go a long way in a season.
You want to go win a Stanley Cup? What you just said is talked about. What you just said is worked on. What you just said is experienced. What you just said is there's been some, over the years, some disappointments. But then it's also a mindset. It's also some swag, and it's also execution. So the Avalanche know that you want to win in the playoffs. Of course, you want to win in the regular season because you have to win in the regular season to get to the playoffs. And I think the Avalanche know that. Just look at the grind it's been with all the injuries, and they're doing everything they can, and they're fixing things along the way, i.e. the goaltending, because you have to get there. You have to get to the dance. But it's a mindset, and those guys really know how to play in those situations. It's very hard to explain until you live it. The Avalanche have plenty of experience, as we know. That was last week. I think Brendan tweeted something about, I do believe they're the number one team in the league in 1-goal games. You know what I mean? And I would think that, that the trend is continuing. And I think individually as a player, you can track all those stats. I mean, you're the best at it. I'm not good at it. But you can tell guys that, score or make an assist on the sixth goal of a 6-2 loss or a 6-2 win. And there's guys that make a play on a 3-3 game, or on a 2-1 game, and those are big plays. It's a different thing, and it's like making saves when you're up 5-0, or making saves when it's a 1-1 game in overtime. Two different things.
I'm not trying to throw him under the bus here, but that was Mikko Rantanen tonight. He assists on an empty net goal to put the game to 4-2, and did not register a shot attempt at 5-on-5. Or rather, I should say a shot on goal. He did not register a shot on goal at 5-on-5. He registered plenty of attempts. He just missed all of them.
And what does he do? He keeps a streak alive. What's he at? 8 games, whatever.
Yeah, something
and
14,
like that, 14 points. But I always tell you that again. I'm not bashing Mikko. He's my favorite winger in the league. That is not what I'm saying. But when you do get the good ice and you do get the good opportunities, the cookies come with it, right? The power play, the empty netters, and it's hard if you're one of those guys like Middlestat that were, for example, he's not getting in a lot of times in those situations, and that's why again, that's why those guys make $12-13 million a year, because they deserve it, because they're the ones that are chosen to be part of those crucial situations, and Mikko's one of them.
All right, we're going to take a very quick pause here, and then we'll start wrapping things up for the show. So, final period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Eric, I know you're not a big standings guy. I know you're not. But look, even you were scoreboard watching after this game was over. We're sitting here getting ready to go live, and everybody else in the Central lost today.
You just nailed it. You nailed it without nailing it, and because you know me, I don't like looking at the standings. That's me. That's never. I was in a player management. I don't like to look. I think I know where I'm at. I think I know where it's at, but I do scoreboard watch. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm saying. I know without knowing, you know what I mean? And I know that I'm in trouble, and I know that we're not in trouble, you know what I mean? And I think scoreboard watch, I've always done that. I did that as a player on the bench and looking around, and, you know, because what do we say, hockey geeks or whatever. I'm a hockey geek. I am. And, you know what I mean? So I think that you're always aware of your surroundings, and, you know what I mean? And for me, scoreboard watching is big. But the standings are what they are, and you're right. And then all of a sudden you're getting towards game 40, and then what do I tell you all the time? By game 55, 60, you're okay. You know what I mean? Like, where are we at? But I mean, deep down, you do know where you're at. But I think I think for me, it's just so unnerving because things change so much, and I hate it early in the season because it's such an imbalanced schedule. Between teams, and some teams have played 5-6 games more than others, and then they've the Avalanche, look, they've played 13 out of 17 on the road, where, you know what I mean, it's just not balanced. It all equals out at the end, and I think that's obviously what the real standing is. No crap, is usually after game 82, once everybody's past it, you know. But yes, you have to know where you are, and or else you would be reckless, you know, so so to speak.
I think that's an important conversation to have, because you're right. If you go look at the standings right now, the Avs sit in third in the Central Division. And that might be a little bit deceiving because Dallas has 3 games in hand on them, and they're only 2 points back. So are the Avs really in third? That might be hard to say. But what I will say is, if you go back and look 15, 20 games ago, the Avs were 6, 8, 10 points behind teams like Dallas. And now, even if all of those games in hand go Dallas's way, the Avs are only 4 points back. And that's best case scenario for Dallas. So for a team that probably at the start of the month, even we were talking about right now, they're kind of battling for a wild card spot, have put themselves right back into the mix of they could be a top 3 seed pretty easily in the Central Division. Now, of course, they have to keep going and playing well, and there's a lot of hockey still left to be played there, but it's turned so effectively since the Avs made these 2 trades for goaltenders that, look, things could go south and the Avs could lose the next 10 games in a row. I don't know. I can't see the future as much as I would like to, and we occasionally get some predictions correct on our pregame show. But it feels like the Avs are, even if it's not pretty, even if you watch these games in San Jose and Anaheim and say, they're kind of greasing these ones out, they're starting to get back into the position that is more expected of them this year.
You're right. I mean, I'm trying to find a word when you were talking there. I was trying to figure out the word I wanted to say about, you know, that point you're making. And I can't come up with a word, but what I'll say is bad goaltending will sink any team, not just the Avalanche. It just does. True. I don't care what people say. Like, bad goaltending will sink you because it's demoralizing. It changes the outcome and the atmosphere on a bench. It changes the mood. It just changes the way you think about what's going to happen next. And the Avalanche are not in need of great. They don't need Connor Hellebuck. In my book, they need solid goaltending because there'll be times, and I think we all know it, and it's been a little bit different lately because the team's under the weather and they're playing with leads. Therefore, human nature, the other team will be pressing. You'll get a little bit more rubber against you. I think that's just, and it's not like the Avalanche are turtling, and we all know that that's not what they do. They do close out games, but it's just the fact that they just needed something to stabilize the waters, to calm the waters when you're not at your best. And if we want them to be at their best, we covering the team and fans and everything, you want your team to be invincible and dominating 60 minutes of every game. It's just not possible. And when that does not happen, you need goaltending to step up and do its job. I think they're getting that. I think that was the purpose for them to do it. I think they nailed it. It's a very small sample, obviously, when you're talking about, whatever, a few weeks now, but it's just a big difference from what it was before. I think Georgiev is what he is, and I think that's what he will be. Eustace, I think there's a little bit more in his can. That can he become a number one? I know you don't think so. I don't know, but I do believe that he could become a very solid backup. And I like his game. I like the player that he is. But the Avs did not have the time. We always say they're not there to develop players, and they're cup or bust. And that was the difference there. So now, since they've had that, I think it just calms everything down. And I think the two soldiers that are there right now are just, you can tell they're so happy to be there. And, they're in a situation that they really haven't been, so to speak. And I think that they're cherishing it. And I think it's only going to transpire to the rest of the team. And it's pretty scary when you give confidence to a group of Makar, Rantanen, McKinnon. It's kind of like Val. You have to throw Val. Val's a unicorn. We all know that. And all of a sudden, you're just kind of throwing some positive vibes at those guys from the back end there. It's something that was missing. It's something that was needed. And it's something that I do believe they nailed. And I do believe it will keep going.
It certainly feels like a lot of parts of their game are coming together. I'm not trying to tell you the Avs are playing perfect. I don't think that's true, but your power play comes through with the big goal tonight. We've talked about your penalty kill. Their 5-on-5 play at times still feels not the best, but we've talked about how exhausted their legs are going to be in that regard. And they still come through with an important goal when they need to tonight. And ultimately, it just feels like a team that is finding ways to do the right things when they need to.
Yeah, and what it does as a team is now you believe again, right? You believe that. I don't think it goes away like the swag or the belief. I think it just you start questioning it a little bit when it's going south a little bit. It's human nature. I mean, you just it's human nature. But I think what it does now is now you're starting to look forward. Now you're starting to feel better, and you're starting to have more swag and having more belief and having more confidence in yourself. And that starts with the coaching staff. I think they're always going to tell you like, hey, we believe in you, we're behind you, but then once you prove it out there night in and night out, like these past few weeks, when, like you just said, it hasn't been perfect. But you can rely on the few things that are pillars important to a victory, like goaltending, like your PK, like your power play. Like once you do that, I mean, boy, oh boy, it's pretty tough to not attain success. And that's where they're attaining it right now. And that's when they know. And then you're going to hear Bednar after Christmas all the way till the playoffs. He's always going to talk in his pressers about what? Going to talk about habits to win in the playoffs. He's going to talk about and we know that, and because you can't teach that, it's just ingrained in you, and it's ingrained in the group, and the group believes that they know how to play to go win games, and they know how to go and win games in the spring. Those are two different things.
Yep. Just a couple of stats for this Avalanche team right now. They have the second most goals of anyone in the Central Division. Only Winnipeg has more. The next closest, Dallas, is 14 goals behind the Avs. So their goal scoring is where it needs to be. Obviously, they've given up more goals than anyone in the Central. That's based a lot on the two guys who don't play here anymore. So we'll move on from that. In the last 7, the Avs are 7-3. Utah is the only or last 10 rather. Utah is the only team with a better record in the last 10. Their direct competition: Dallas 5-5, Minnesota 5-5, Winnipeg 5-4-1. The Avs are actively making up ground on everyone ahead of them in the Central Division. In fact, they're technically ahead of Dallas, but not really. Beyond that, they are one of the best teams on the road in the division, tied with Winnipeg at 12-7. The only team better is Winnipeg, who is an unbelievable 12-2-3. That's crazy how good Minnesota has been on the road. And they're just okay at home. So I think this is kind of the target for the next step. The Avs are about to head into a month where they're at home a ton, and they need to play well through that stretch. They need to prove that they are a good team at home, on the road, whatever the situation might be. But they've set themselves up for a very good stretch of the season. They have to perform, but this should be where the Avs start to take off.
Yeah, and one point I'm going to make there, and this is a coach and me talking right now. It's when you get on the road like this, there's very seldom times to really use an hour there for a practice. I bet you could count on your hand right now the number of times they practice. When you see every morning skate, the Avs work, and again, not just the Avs, but working on their special teams. There's a reason for that. It's because you haven't had time to practice, and this is the only time really that there has been. And so I think by going home, I know there's a lot of games. It just makes things a bit easier, to tighten the screws on things that are not going well. And I think that's what you saw a little bit on the power play there, where, it was more like you just needed maybe a little reset, and not just a practice on during morning skate, where it's really just kind of a laid back thing for a few minutes. And, sometimes you do got to dig deep, and you do got to dig down. And the only time you can do that is by real non-game day practice times. And there just hasn't been really any of it. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to, probably correcting a few things there. And I think the coaches are coaches. They're nuts, man. They just they just wanna work on things all the time,
Yeah, they never stop. That's for sure. All right, we are winding down here. We do have a couple of super chats to get to, so let's hit those. We've got $2 from Miss Truly, who says, cheers to the PK. Yeah, all the credit in the world. That unit goes 5 for 5 tonight and scores you a goal. Undercredited. That's a lot of the Avs depth guys that get the job done, especially in the forward core that are out there grinding for the Avs tonight. Next up, we have $5 from Steven, and then he sent another $5 for $10 total for Big Val will never be gay, but the three-headed monster lives. I mean, sort of. Mikko wasn't really playing on that line, right? It was Lehkonen and Val with McKinnon tonight, but certainly Val has been incredibly good for Colorado. It took him a little bit to get his feet back under him once he started playing again, but he's been lights out for them. Money when the Avs need 5-on-5 goals, especially. There's been a lot of Val Lechushkin.
He's already at 10 goals. I mean, it's crazy. Yep.
In a little over a month, he's at 10. So. Pretty good.
Yeah.
And then $2 from Brooke, who says, Prishchapov with a hattie. Chances he's called up. Not zero, especially because the Avs will be at home. I mean, look, you know how I feel about it. I would be playing Prish right now if it were up to me. I don't think Giovanni Smith has really provided anything effective for Colorado on that bottom line. None of the other options either have done anything that better than Prish has. I'll put it to you that way. So if it were up to me, I'd play Prishchapov, but we'll see.
I agree. I mean, for me, like even in a lot tonight, this is like what the 137th player that the Avs have played this year. Is crazy. It's an absurd amount of numbers. But yeah, I just don't think he's I don't think he's a bottom 6 guy. I mean, they will address it. That's going to be what they address. And, at some point, and again, you're still waiting on to see what's going to happen with Woodrow and guys like that. And it pushes everybody down. And, again, we're far from there. We're not there yet. And I think they're just trying to see what they have. And they're just trying to see what they have. And here's AJ. Look at him. He's back. My bottom right there. Howler. I love you, AJ. Come on.
Yeah, we'll see. You kind of pointed it out there. We're talking about very fringe of the lineup details that in a couple of weeks, hopefully the Avs are healthy and aren't even relevant. But we'll see. That's pretty much it. Any final thoughts from you, E?
No, I just think that I think the fellas are very happy they got on that bird and going home. Forget about that day trip on the 27th. I think it's just going to be nice to be in your bed here for a few nights coming up. So that's kind of very nice. It gets a toll on you. It makes its toll on you.
Well, especially you've been on that journey and you're like, all right, we're 3 days from the holiday break. Let's just get there. Let's just survive here a little bit.
And there's days you don't even know what room number you're in. You're like. My room doesn't work, my key. And then that was like 3 hotels ago that you were in room 712. Now you're like, what? I'm not in 712. I mean, it just gets old. It really does get old. So, yeah.
Well, it's just about done for the Avs, and we are going to wrap this show up. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will be off tomorrow, but we will be back for the game on Monday, so be sure to tune in for that. We'll certainly have pregame and postgame for you. I don't know if I'll have my watch-along set up then, but hopefully soon. Either way, we appreciate y'all a ton for following with us, and we will catch you on the next one.
We all silly like the mayor.